is for the S's that have disappeared. H is for Haas, it's changed, my dear. I is for incredible, lots of changes to our edibles. F is freaky cause Mandela effects are all the buzz. And T is for time that's running fast. Y is for your memories, hope they last. If it's not a fun day, won't you join me Shifty Sunday? Shifty Sunday for Emmys. Shifty Sunday, if you please.
All right, Hebrew 77 here, and welcome to another edition of Shifty Sunday. And that was a wonderful intro there, sung by Lorraine. And we are here.
Lorraine Lamore.
Lamore, right? Yeah. So we've got Armor Up on the panel here tonight, and we're waiting for Sagittariusly speaking. He'll be joining us momentarily, but Armor Up, why don't you tell us? I believe you had an anniversary today, sir. Why don't you tell us how that went?
I believe I did. We're still together, so everything's good. She's over there. We survived another year. 34. Yeah, no, it went good. Had a good time. Went out and ate. Went to the casino. I know we're going to hell. Sorry, Christians, but went to a casino. Had a little fun. Everything's all right. Don't worry, though. I sacrificed a goat for the Jewish listeners, and for the Christian listeners, I repented. So it's all right. But no, I had a good time. Good day.
Awesome, man. 34 years, man. That's a lot of years, man. Just, I got to tell you, congratulations on that. And I'll tell you what else, man. Is there any secret to a relationship that you want to share? Or, I mean, how do you make something last for 34 years? I mean, that's awesome, man. You don't hardly hear about that in this day and age, you know?
Oh, no, you'd have to ask the wife. Long suffering on her part, because it was long and she suffered. She just laughing. No, I was not good for a while. I don't know. Just be honest to each other and find something you like to do together and do it. And of course, put Jesus first. It's the most important thing. If you're a dude, learn how to love her like he loved you, like he said. Not easy, but try it. But yeah, mainly just find something you like to do. We like to go out in the woods or go to the casino once in a while. Or we love photography, hence all the pictures that's in my videos. So yeah, I don't know. What's the secret, baby? Got any wise and wonderful secrets you want to share with the population? Not really, no. She said just long suffering's about the only thing she's got. No, I don't know. Just find something you like to do. Enjoy each other.
Awesome, man. Yeah, it'd be for me, it'd been 5 years in June was our anniversary, and I thought that was a long time. I guess I got a long ways to go. Of course, we were together for 10 years before that, so I don't know. 15 years together, 5 years married.
Way I count our together time as married time, because married in the eyes of the Lord and married in the eyes of man is two different things. I mean, we didn't get our paper till later, but we've been married for 34 years.
Oh, I get it. Okay, yeah, cool. So in the eyes of the Lord, I guess me and my wife been together for 15 years then, huh?
There you go.
Yep. Man, I like that intro at the beginning of the show. I tell you what, it's be cool. It'll be even better once we get a video behind it.
Yeah, I didn't have a chance to work on the video, but yeah, we'll definitely get a video behind it. But yeah, that's awesome. Shout out to Lorraine. That's definitely cool.
Who's not here at the moment, but I'm sure she'll tune in later in the replay, or she might even pop in later. Who knows?
She could be lurking. You never know.
Yeah, it does say 8 watch. And speaking of shout outs, would you like to do the shout out, sir?
No, I retired.
Oh, man.
We got Chaos Reality, Red Shirt Blues, Oiler Greg, Lorraine Lamore. Thanks, guys. She lurks, she said. I told you. Never underestimate the power of the lurker. Sister Sensi and Jocko R., who is listening but unavailable for chat at the moment. Thank you, Lorraine. Awesome intro song. Thank you so much.
So cool. Cool. And I don't think you missed anybody.
I don't think so. Short list. I think I'm good.
Well, we were waiting for Sagittarically Speaking to pop in. Anything? We got anything interesting to talk about?
I got nothing. I got nothing interesting. I'm just a boring old fella living in my little shack with my woman. What do you talk about?
Well, that does it here for the for Shifty Sunday. I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in. And oh no! But could you imagine? Be a short night, wouldn't it?
Oh, wait a minute. We just got a news update from my woman's, what do you call that thing? Tablet thingy. There's now a super black hole in the middle of our Milky Way. Massive. Super massive black hole in the middle of our Milky Way. And Robo Club's lurking also. We love our lurkers. I've been known to lurk quite often myself. So, love the lurkers. So, yeah, we got a massive, giant, big black hole. My question is, what the heck happened to our Milky Way? I remember as a kid, I used to love it. You go out, you just lay down and look up, and you could see the Milky Way and all the pretty colors. What happened to all the colors? Why are stars now white? Where's the red stars and the blue stars and the green stars and all the pretty stars? Where's the Milky Way with all these awesome colors? What the heck happened to our Milky Way? That's a good question since we got on the subject. Where is the Milky Way? Where'd it go? Why isn't it there? Why can't I see it anymore? I used to love looking at the Milky Way. And why did they steal the colors of my stars? That's the question of the evening. Go, Hebrew.
Well, I'll tell you what, I don't know about any of that, but I know I sure enjoy me a good Milky Way candy bar, that's for sure.
Leave it to Hebrew to take it to the chocolate.
No, but that's a good question, though, man. I tell you what, I still look up, and here's a question I got to ask you. How come it is I can see the Big Dipper and Little Dipper every single night now? I thought those only came out on special nights of the year.
Special nights like Dipper Night. Okay, go on. I'm trying to be serious.
Well, yeah, I know.
No, I don't know. I always thought the Big Dipper and the Little Dipper is the North Star, so that's always out. So I'm pretty sure they were both always out. Now, one thing that I noticed that I remember when I would stargaze as a child is Scorpio. We could only see, I think it was in the wintertime, if I remember right, because there is winter and summer constellations, although the Big Dipper and Little Dipper, I believe, are year round. But Scorpio, I'm pretty sure it was just winter, and now I see it in the summer. It's, yeah, strange stuff going on with the constellations. I think I definitely see Scorpio when I shouldn't be seeing it.
So let me ask you this: Has that changed? Has the dates of the constellation changed itself? Like, wasn't it supposed to be from October 20 something to like November 2nd or something like that? The Scorpio.
Oh, you mean for the sign, whatever you call it, the
Yeah.
horoscope sign? Well, yeah, they added that new one, the snake. and I guess that threw everything off. I don't know. I ain't looked into all that weirdness any. I don't know, but I know supposedly I guess there's a new zodiac sign that's a snake that. So now instead of what we did have, we got another one which shifted everything. But I think according to Scarab, we're still Geminis, so it didn't mess with me. I don't know what it messed with, but it definitely messed the dates up, I guess. But I don't know. I never really looked into it. I'm just glad I ain't a snake.
Well,
I'm bipolar Gemini.
I know I was. I'm October 26th, and I've always considered myself a Scorpio. So now, what happened? Am I no longer a Scorpio?
Well, I don't know. Maybe someone in chat knows something about it that could educate us both. Maybe call in a bit when we open the phone lines. If you know anything about this new horoscope sign, I'm pretty sure it's a snake. I don't know. I think it's a snake. But yeah, if anyone knows anything about it out there, maybe you can call in and educate us. Like I said, I know I've heard of it, but I don't research it. It didn't mean much to me. So I never really looked into it, but there definitely is a new zodiac sign. I do know that, but
Well, this whole black hole thing got me to thinking about CERN and how, and I'm not trying to tie anything into CERN or anything like that, but it is interesting how the whole point of CERN was them trying to open up black holes. Well, they were originally trying to find what they called the God particle, and they ended up supposedly trying to use the collider to open up black holes so they could study black holes more. But I think the original they were going to try to find the God particle, and then it turned into some kind of search so they could study black holes in a concentrated environment. And so I just think that that's interesting how all of a sudden now we've got this huge black hole that nobody's even heard of. So I mean, I just find that interesting. What are your thoughts on that?
well, I don't know. As far as CERN goes, who knows? I mean, for all we know, it could just be another money dump like NASA that's just black, what do you call it? Laundering the money. Could just be a money laundering facility that puts out all kind of crap to make you think they're doing more than they can do. Or they could be real. Who knows? Either way, they're definitely working for the wrong side if they are real with their Shiva statues and opening portals. But like I said before, some people say about, oh, CERN's trying to open the bottomless pit or whatever, let the demons out. And I've said it many times, they seem to forget who has the key. The one that has the key is the only one that can open that pit or give it to someone to open it when they see fit. And CERN ain't got that key, so I don't worry about what they're doing.
All I know is they have a lot of those not what you call demonic or whatever, but they have a lot of those statues and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like what's that 8-armed or 4-armed woman called again?
Okay, I got an update. November 29th to December 17th is the dude wrestling the snake new zodiac sign. My boy just looked it up on his phone.
Okay.
So I don't know what it affected, but that's, if you're born then, you're now a dude wrestling a snake thing. I don't know. Whatever that means. If you believe in that stuff, we'll have to talk anyhow because you got bigger problems than that. But, to each his own. I'm not, whatever you're into, man.
The things you forgot just popped in.
His name is Shiva. Things you forgot said, yeah, absolutely. That Shiva statue they got outside. Their little dancing goddess. Order out of chaos. It's the same thing that's on our money and same thing. Yeah, it's
a healer of men and a doctor of medicine or
okay.
science.
Update on the new snake sign. He's
He
considered
seeks higher education and enlightenment.
He's considered the healer of men and what?
And a doctor of medicine or
Doctor
science.
of medicine. Well, there you go. That big pharma, of course. You got to get theirs. Yeah. That's yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Seeks knowledge. So of course the snake seeks knowledge. We're right back around full circle to the garden. Welcome to Eden.
Well, the medical sign or the medical symbol is a snake wrapped around a dagger or something like that.
Yeah, it's the twin serpent. Yeah. We all know about the big pharma. If not research, yeah, it's well now they got their own zodiac sign. It seems that's special.
Hmm.
Oh, and he's the interpreter of dreams and visions too. Nice,
Envied by his peers,
nice.
favored by his father.
A lot of dream and vision stuff being talked about these days, ain't there?
So did you happen to catch all of Thirsty Thursday? I know you caught a little bit of it because you were on there before you went to work, but what did you think about that? Did you see what I meant by how it kind of tied into some of your Wednesday word?
Yeah, definitely. I had to leave. I left at like 8:45 for work, so I left right about when you said, "Oh, we'll read a little bit further because we're not that late in yet." So I was around till then, but yeah, I mean, it's pretty wild the synchronicities that happen. Just like this Wednesday word that I'm working on now, it's almost done. And once I was working on it after last night's show, it's like, wow. Again, just yeah, it pretty much ties into some of what I was saying last night about how we need to take control. We're the men of the household. We're in charge, and we need, we forget that. Bind up that crap. There's evil spirits around. Bind them up. Get them out. It's your house. Don't put up with this crap. People need to quit playing. And that's sort of what Wednesday Word's about, the power of words. And it blew me away because, yeah, as usual, it's just synchronicities.
Yeah, I tell you, man. I kind of, I kind of like that story. The story that was told of why do I want to keep saying Lazarus? The story of oh man, who was the traitor? Not Simon.
The traitor, you mean Judas?
Judas. Yeah, the story of Judas. It's funny how I read that story, and I haven't completed it yet. I'll work on it again next Thursday. We'll really dip into, I think, what's going to be the Last Supper, and we'll really dip into it. But it's funny. I've heard many different versions of that story. How he hung himself right after he traded, or he betrayed Jesus, and then I heard that he hung himself right before he betrayed him, knowing that he was going to betray him. But how could he have hung himself before he did it? He would have had to done it either after or after the crucifixion. And I've heard it told so many different ways that I'm not even sure which one is the true story.
Well, it was definitely after he betrayed him. Like you said, he couldn't have hung himself before he betrayed him, or he would never have betrayed him. So that's don't even make sense. I'm trying to remember. I think it was after the crucifixions, what I always was taught, but maybe it was during the trial. But then you also got the fact that at one spot it says he hung himself, and another spot I believe it says about he was disemboweled. So, and a lot of people say he hung himself and then was disemboweled. I don't know. There's different accounts to the story. And then if you read the Lost Book, one of the books that supposedly shouldn't be there, and I'm not saying I totally count this one as real, but there is a book. I think it's called The Gospel of Judas, or one of the books. There's Judas in a whole different story. It's the Gospel of Judas or something like that, I think it's called, which is one of the extra biblical texts. It's very interesting. Its take on the whole situation is interesting.
I just can't wait to start reading about the Last Supper. That's one of my most favorite parts of the stories. Of course, well, besides the resurrection, of course, but I mean, it's definitely one of my favorite tellings in the Bible. How Jesus already knew. Of course, he knew the whole thing was going to go down before it went down. Of course, he knew everything was going to go down before it went down. But it's kind of cool how he laid it all out for the disciples. I mean, telling them he who dips his bread on the was it the right side of me will be the betrayer, or he who not right or left. I'm sorry. He who dips his bread the same time as I do will be the betrayer.
No, it's who he dipped the bread and gave it to, unless that's changed. He said, the one I give the bread to after I dip it. And then he dipped the bread and handed it to Judas. At least that's the way it was in my old Sunday school reality.
And the other thing I've found out that's interesting is I always thought the word was three, but when you look at it, the King James version, it's thrice. And I love that word, but I'm almost ashamed to say the first time I heard the word thrice was not in the Bible. It was watching The Simpsons one day, and I forget what they were doing. They might have been doing something biblical. I don't know, but he said, not once, not twice, but thrice. And I just love that word. I just love the ringtone. I love the way it sounds, but but that was the first time I ever heard it was in an episode of The Simpsons. And now I'm at that part where they say thrice. I find that I'm like, oh, that's where it originated from, the Bible.
Yeah, and Chaos Reality says it doesn't say bread as far as they can find. Yeah, I don't think it says bread. I think there's another word like sop or something like that. But yeah, we just basically say bread. But yeah, it don't actually say bread there.
Yeah, when I was reading it, I kind of got confused. I was like, sop? What's sop? So what is sop?
Basically bread. I mean, it's just, yeah.
But I think Chaos Reality said it might have been like the Greek term for bread or something like that, or because they did when they had their feast, they didn't have levy. What do they call that stuff they put in bread to make it rise? They didn't have that in there. Unleavened.
Salt means to dip. Yeah, and yeast, unleavened bread, and that's what Things You Forgot said. They think it was without yeast, and salt means to dip. Yeah, we even say, at least around here, like I need some more bread to sop up my gravy. I mean, sop's just, it's a term we even use nowadays, sort of, at least in these parts. You sop up your gravy or sop up stuff with your bread.
Yeah, us Italians, we sop up our spaghetti sauce for our bread after we've eaten. Like we get the garlic bread, and then it's like we get our spaghetti. When we're finished eating all the spaghetti, we clean up our plate with the garlic bread. Just sop it up. That's how we do it.
Yeah, sop it up. Same thing. That's what I meant back in. Basically. Sop it up. Dip it.
So we got an update for Euler Greg. He won the contest last week. Well, we're working on it. It's going to take a while. I think Armor Up. I think you have an idea for the design, and I'm gonna work on this very week. I'm gonna work on getting the words all kind of gathered up. But I'm gonna send that to you. So we're definitely working on it. It'll take a little while though. Just putting that out there. I notice Euler Greg keeps saying a so could shift. Is that 80,000? Am I reading that right?
80. Oh, wait, it moved on me. Yep, 80,000.
Okay, and that's what's going on the T-shirt. 80,000 light years. That's what I have written down. Okay, I just wanted to make sure. I don't want to.
Yeah, we don't want to mess up the wording. That would be good.
Of
course, that would fit for our show. Should be messed up.
Right, the shiftiness of it. But so waiting on that, and Well, I hope nothing happened to Saggy, you know.
Yeah, he must be sleeping in. I don't know. Hopefully he'll pop in here. Things You Forgot said the unleavened bread's supposed to represent someone being pure and without sin. Yeast is supposed to represent sin, just have a little bit of it, and it will keep on multiplying. Yep, I've heard that analogy before.
See, this creature someone caught fishing.
I didn't know anything about that. So, you know, I guess we could here, let me do something here real quick. I guess we could do before Saggy comes on if you want to. Let's see.
You're watching the back room to see if he pops in, aren't you?
Yeah, I'll get a message if he pops in. Now, I did name this the Call In Live Show, but if you have any stories or anything like that you'd like to tell us, now would be the time to do that. And if not, I guess we could open up the phone lines if you want to. Wait for him to pop in.
Sure, maybe someone could enlighten us on the earlier subject.
So, I mean, I'll tell you what, I like
Phone
that.
lines open, I believe. They should be, yes.
The phone lines are open.
Yeah, they should be.
All
So
right.
anytime you want to pop the number up.
Let me go ahead and put that.
The subject was the new horoscope thingy. Or just call in whatever you want to talk about. It don't matter. We just like you to go in, share whatever you like.
Or if you got a problem, we'll be glad to help you out in any way we can. Now, we're keep in mind we're not professionals or anything, far from it, but or at least I know I'm not. How about you?
No, heavy disclaimer. I know nothing.
So, but we'll definitely be here for you if you need an ear to talk into. That's what we're here for. So I'll go ahead and put that number up there on the screen. There you go.
All right, I'll pop over to the phone program and watch.
Let's just hope we don't have problems like we did last week when you first started the program. I don't know what the heck happened there. I think maybe you had gremlins in the computer.
Yeah, I don't know. That was weird. Strange. Who knows? It's technology.
I know when we did that, like me and Sadji would say something and it would echo on forever, go forever, 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 ever, 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 and it just kept going on and on like that. I'm like, whoa, bro, I got to mute you, bro.
We should have went live. It would have been good.
Oh man, I don't know. Might have scared a few people off there, Armor.
Dude, if we ain't scared them off with us, I don't think a little echo is going to scare them.
I'll tell you what, if they would have heard me singing the fly had flown into my Coke song earlier, they would have.
You guys can't appreciate hopping into the room before Hebrew realizes you're there because you're backstage and listen to him sing his Fly in My Pepsi song or soda song or whatever it was. Sitting there like, you never know what you get when you hop in the room. Hey, we got a caller.
All right, cool.
San Antonio, you are live. Hey, Things You Forgot. How's it going? Your icon looks like someone else I know.
Can't hear him.
I think we've spoken before, maybe probably once a couple of years ago. Maybe I'm not sure if you were doing call-in shows at that time.
1 second. Can you hear him, Hebrew? He said he couldn't hear you.
I can't hear you, bro.
Hebrew?
I can't. I can hear him, but he's coming in real low. But I can hear him. Can
why,
you chat? Can the chat hear him?
Why did you jinx my program, Hebrew?
It was the fly.
Very low. Let me check some settings. Hang tight.
Hey, we can't have the show go too smooth. It won't be Shifty Sunday if it does.
Hold on. We're still working on it. Patience.
Shifty Sunday. When the shift hits the fan, watch Shifty Sunday every Sunday night at 9 Eastern. How's that song go again? S is for the things you say to me. H is for the habaneros that I like to eat.
Can you hear Hebrew yet?
Hello.
I can hear him, but he's still kind of low. I can't hear him at all now. If
Well,
he's talking.
I'm not talking. Can you guys hear each other?
I can't hear him.
You can't hear him? Chat, can you hear him? Yeah, I don't understand. Everything seems to be set the way it should be, but it ain't working. Hebrew jinxed me saying I hope it works.
Hey, I don't know. Hey, Dan was having the same problem. I think it was not this week, but last week we were having the problem. I was the first call in, so I don't know. Maybe he jinxed us. I think he jinxed us. That's what happened. Whatever the problem is, we'll blame Dan on everything. How about that?
All right, dude. Sorry. I guess phone lines are down for tonight. I don't know what's happening. Everything should be working.
Wait, real quick.
Hey, wait a minute. I think I heard something. Are you muting your mic, Armor?
Yeah, I'm muting mine so I don't get an echo. That's the way it should work.
It seems like when you unmuted it, I could hear him.
Now nobody's talking. Okay, he left. Yeah, I don't know what's happening. It should be working. Who knows? It's jinxed now.
Man. Well, I guess I might as well take that down. Dang gummit.
Unless someone else wants to try to call in and try it, but there's no reason it shouldn't be working.
I'll tell you what, I'll leave it up and we'll see. He could call back in if he wants to try it again. In the meantime, let's talk about you got any new projects you're working on?
No, not really. Just my Wednesday words. Stuff like that.
I was working on the Incredible Hulk. I've been watching a lot of Incredible Hulk here lately, and I actually made a video about it. So if anybody wants to go back and check out that video, it's called Incredible Hulk Mandela Effect. It's all in that video. So anybody wants to go check that out, they can. I also made another video called Kit Kat Proofs, and that's where I show a bunch of proofs on the Kit Kat bar. Not Kit Kat. Shoot. Sorry about that. Kmart, where I show a lot of proofs where Kmart should have had the dash in there, and there's a lot of proofs on why it should. And so if anyone's interested, they can go check that out. So there you go. So do you have any more? What do you think about this black hole that's going on?
The black hole, I don't know. I just heard about it.
Oh, do you think that could be affecting anything?
Well, who knows? If it's real, maybe. Okay, we got the caller back. Are we going to try this again?
Okay,
Let me unmute him. Keep your fingers crossed.
fingers and toes crossed.
Hello, hello, hello. Can you hear me? Hebrew.
I can hear you.
Okay, good. It's working.
Okay, I'm going to have to stay unmuted. We got no echo, right?
No, there's no echo. It's good.
Can Chad hear him? If Hebrew can hear you, Chad should be able to hear you.
Yeah. So what do you want to discuss? Do you want to ask me any questions about anything specifically?
Well, no, not really. I mean, do you know anything about the
No.
weird new horoscope thingy?
Yeah, the horoscope thing. How long have you just figured out about that?
Well, no, I heard about it. Oh, goodness. When did it come out? Like 2012 or 13 or something? I don't know.
Yeah, 2012. Yeah.
It's been out a while.
Yeah, I heard about it. I kind of heard about it. The news was talking about it, and I just thought it was part of the, all of the manipulation or all the fake information they're throwing out. But it could be real. I don't know. I mean, who knows nowadays? There's so much false information, but there definitely is. The stars are changing. That's for sure.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. And the moon's crazy.
Yeah. I wanted to say, I was talking to some other people about the Holy Spirit and the Trinity and God and Jesus and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, do you believe in the Trinity or no?
Well, that depends on what your view of the Trinity is.
Yeah.
I mean, if I was to say that, I don't know what you think of the Trinity. You know what I'm saying? So if I was to say, yeah, I believe in the Trinity, that would depend on what your view of the Trinity is. I believe there's a Father, a Son, and a Holy Spirit, and I believe they're all one, and I believe they're separate entities.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, we're in agreement so far on everything. I was gonna say, because I feel like there's this thing that's going on. I know it's kind of off topic, but it does matter because it's part of like all the truth that's being unveiled or revealed.
Right. Well, there is no topic here, so
happened. Say it again.
There is no topic here, so you can't go off topic. So it's cool.
Okay. Well, I was going into the fact that throughout history, women kind of been being oppressed. Women, and when I was a child, I felt like I would listen to the word being read to me, and my mom would read it to me, and I felt like God was directly speaking to me. And when He would say, "I am your father," I pictured Him as my father. And when He said, "Jesus is your brother," I literally pictured Him as my brother. And so when I heard the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, my mom read Proverbs to me, and it spoke of wisdom being the mother, and the spirit of wisdom, teaching us everything. And I kind of put two and two together and came to the conclusion that the Holy Spirit was the mother. But when I try to tell people that, they say no, because the Catholics say that Mary is the mother, and the Catholics say Mary is the Holy Mother, and I don't agree with that. I think there is a divine feminine and a divine masculine, but with the Antichrist, they pervert the truth so much, so it's like transvestite, evil spirit type of thing. It's not really, balance of male and female That's it. And have you ever heard of that concept or thought about that?
Yeah, actually, I have heard of that concept. And wisdom is definitely characterized as a female, especially throughout Proverbs. And so I have heard that the Holy Spirit is a female aspect. But when I looked into it, and I, I'm not saying it can't be true, because the Holy Spirit is a comforter, a helper. The things it's named for are all things that also, I mean, Eve was the helper to Adam, was the helpmate. So there's lots of evidence that could point to it to being a female type aspect.
But we must be born through the Spirit.
Right, which would also point to
So
female. But the problem is, and I believe it's mentioned maybe in Thomas, which isn't a book in the Bible. I don't think it's in the canon. It might be, but I think it's in Thomas. But it says, how could the Holy Spirit be female when the Holy Spirit is what basically impregnated Mary? So it's saying, how silly to think the Spirit is a female. How could a female impregnate a female? So that's
he's
sort of
way too carnally, though. He's thinking way too carnally, because the Holy Spirit is the Spirit of life. The
right.
Spirit of life gave birth to all things. It didn't need to be a male spirit or a female spirit.
And
specifically, but it is said that God follows order, and He does things so that He can be an example, and that's it. And I know it's not specifically the right scripture, but there is the prayer that says, "Let Your will be done, as it is on heaven, so it is on earth." Something
right,
like that.
Right, on earth as it is in heaven. Well, in earth as it is in heaven now, but yeah, the Lord's Prayer.
Yeah. Well, my point is, God does things in order, and I would expect or assume that He would have not a wife, but
we
God's
see
the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. Why are we separating the female essence from everything?
See, that's and I agree with you, but I think it even goes deeper than that. I think, see, now you're getting into a lot of extra biblical stuff that I studied, and personally stuff that I believe, but I seldom talk about because a lot of it's drawn from Thomas and the Book of Truth and Shepherd of Hermes and different books like that. But basically, if we look at creation, if we go back to creation, then in my opinion, this could get really deep and really out there and probably cause a lot of stuff. But I think originally, when we look at male and female, we're looking at it on a human type aspect, which is a big problem to begin with. We're thinking in human type terms. Whereas I think the Father has both male and female type characteristics, because He doesn't have a sex. We can't think of the Father as having a sex like we think of sex, like being a male or a female. And Jesus in the extra biblical text explains to us that the problem was male and female got separated and became two. And we need to learn how to bring them back to one. But when you try to teach this, it's people take it the wrong way and think you're leaning towards a transgender type nonsense, because the enemy's twisted it into transgenderism. Right, exactly. It's been twisted. But I don't think the Holy Spirit's necessarily male or female. I think it has a lot of female characteristics. There's no doubt about it. It's a comforter. It's a helper. It's a teacher. It's everything our mom's supposed to be. So there's no doubt it has female characteristics, but so does our Father. Our Father's nothing but love and mercy and grace and all these quote unquote female type characteristics. So I think you can't really look at male and female when you look at the Father, Son, or Spirit. Jesus showed up as a male in body. And I think that was only because back then, the only one that even had a chance of being heard was a male. If he'd have showed up as a female, they'd have just laughed at him. Females had no respect back then. They couldn't talk. They couldn't teach. Females couldn't do anything. So he had to be a male.
Yeah.
But I don't think it has anything to do with their actual gender. There is no gender, in my opinion, when it comes to the Father, Son, and Spirit. They're both. and we were both. And that's the problem. We got separated. That's why we're told when we take someone in marriage, we're to become one flesh. We're supposed to be one again. Jesus even teaches that in the books that aren't in the Bible. We need to learn how to become one. We need to bring the male and the female back together. It got separated by the enemy. But like I said, now it gets deep because now, what they're going to say, are you saying that when Eve was made, it was made by the enemy? Yes, that's what I'm saying. So it goes clean back to Genesis. But yeah, I think male and female, we can't look at it in human terms, especially when we're looking at the Father, Son, and Spirit. They're beyond male and female. They're both. We were both. We're supposed to be both. We're the bride of Christ and we're the son of God. You know what I'm saying? It don't say we're sons and daughters of God, although a lot of preachers like to do that now because we don't want to be uninclusive to the women folk. They don't have a problem with us having to be a bride, but goodness, we can't say the women are supposed to be sons. You know what I mean? But that's exactly what it says. Yeah. They are sons just like we are sons, and we are brides just like they are brides. Sex, as far as male and female, means nothing, in my opinion.
Also, I just wanted to add that there was a testimony by, and I can't think of the name of the guy right now, but in his testimony where he sort of goes to heaven or in the in-between, he speaks about in heaven there will be no genders. So that's just what I gather from that on my part, from what I heard from his testimony, that none of us will have a gender when we go to that great beyond or to heaven, whatever it may be.
Yeah, because we're still thinking still so carnally, you know. But that's why I said I wasn't saying the Holy Spirit's a female with with these certain body parts. I was just saying the Holy Spirit is like the female aspect of things because, like I was saying, throughout history, the females have been being oppressed, and it goes into this whole colonialism thing and just the whole prophecy of the future, like the mark of the beast. Uh, I feel like us getting separated from what is natural, which is God, uh, is that's it's hard to put into words. I've spoke about it so many times. Um, but I just wanted to call in, like I said, and properly introduce myself and say, hey, and if you ever want to talk to me, this is my number. You have to call me up if y'all need me to, take a, what is that called, a guest spot or something.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, anytime. And it's a darn good question. Like I said, it's a question, and it comes up a lot. Like I said, I've heard it many times about whether the spirit is female or male. And there's no doubt, like I said, absolutely has tons of female aspects. It's the giver of life. Well, we know females are the giver of life. The spirit is the giver of life. It's the helper. We know Eve was called a helper. So, yeah, there's no doubt that the spirit has female aspects.
Is referring to wisdom as like a female.
Absolutely.
Like
wisdom is always referred to as female. All throughout Proverbs.
It says wisdom, and then it speaks of the mother, and it speaks as wisdom as the mother.
Yep, absolutely.
Proverbs. Yeah, so that's kind of Okay, the last question I was gonna ask y'all, because I've been having this problem with trying to talk to people about how we can, kind of come together. I don't know if you know anything about like targeted individuals, or if you believe in that, because I'm pretty sure if you're in the community, the ME community, you've heard of mudfloods.
Yep.
Targeted individuals, yeah. Right?
Yep.
Do you believe in that? That's actually happening, or not really?
Oh, I believe individuals could be targeted, no doubt, especially with the type of equipment they have at their disposal today.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I believe it's a real thing.
Okay, well, this is my problem. Everywhere I'm going to, like different specific communities who are trying to help the community, there's always a couple of people surrounding like this main person who's trying to do good. I can't even talk to them because there's these like secret society people around, and I was just wondering how do you like deal with that, or do they mess with you at all?
Uh, well, me personally, I don't have.
Because I have a problem with that.
Yeah, I don't have that problem personally. I mean, I don't know why. Maybe it's
Well, what
because of
would
the
you
spirit. I
suggest
don't
for
know, but
like someone who?
I don't have the problem. I do know other people in the community that are targeted that I've seen videos from and different things.
Yeah, I'm not really like I don't they don't really target me unless I start talking to people, you know. But and it's specific groups of people. As long as they stay like in my own race, people don't they don't really mess with me. Even in my own tribe, there's people who are placed by like other people. I've seen them go to like secret society things, but you know, I'm just saying, how do you deal with that when your own leaders are corrupt and you're trying to tell the people around you like you can't even tell them because they believe them so much. They believe in, they have so much respect for it. They don't even see
Well,
all the
that's
manipulation.
yeah, that's the problem we all face. I mean, and basically, what I've come to is I don't try to wake anyone up to anything as far as Mandela effect, or I just try to tell them the truth of what I believe as far as spiritual stuff. Because we can't wake anyone up. Only the spirit can wake someone up to the truth. They have to seek the truth. And if they're so lost believing the leaders, like you said, I mean, that's 99.9% of the world, unfortunately. The only,
Yeah, I'm not even trying to wake them up to the Mandela effect because that's too far out there for most people. I'm just trying to wake them up to the fact that they're being manipulated, at least, you know, to be able to spot the fact when manipulation is happening. People don't
It's hard.
tell them from help.
right. They
It's
can't see it. I know what you mean. And like I said, you can't wake them up. That's the hardest
it's a
thing
lot.
for us to come to grips with is we can't really wake them up. We can tell them the truth and you can try to open their eyes, but you can't make them see. All you can do is, as we would say, plant the seed or tell the truth and
Mhm.
Yeah,
hope that they seek the truth. I mean, there's nothing else you can do, really. There's absolute pray for them. You know, if you're religious like I am, you pray for them, you ask for them to see, and there really ain't much else you can do. You
yeah,
can't
sure.
force it on them because
It's
then you push them away. You just got to love them and tell them the truth. It's that simple.
the same way with my family. I've tried telling my wife years ago when I came upon this Mandela effect. I used to tell her all the time, and now anymore, anytime I tell her or anytime I find a new Mandela effect or I find this or that, I just don't even mention anything about it because I know she's going to be like, I don't want to hear about it. So I don't mention anything about it. I'll let her go on with her the way she wants to believe in what she wants to believe in, and she'll see it eventually whenever her eyes are open. You know, that's just the way you got to kind of handle things sometimes. You can't make them see what they don't want to see or can't see. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, it's true.
Yep,
All
exactly.
right,
I
I
mean,
appreciate the call. I appreciate y'all taking my call. I'll call back maybe one day. If you ever want to call me, just bring me up.
yeah, appreciate the call. Awesome questions and awesome talk. Glad you called in.
All right, see you later.
Thanks for the
Thank.
call, brother.
Okay, bye.
All right, we got Wichita Falls on the line next. You're live.
Let me turn it. Hello there.
Hey, what's happening?
Hey, it's Connie Joe.
Hey, Connie.
Listen, I have a question for y'all.
Cool.
Today
Congrats
in
on your video.
church. Oh, thank you. My the sermon was about you can't get to heaven through your works. You can only get to heaven if you're saved by grace.
Absolutely.
But then it turns around and says that you cannot get into heaven unless you do God's work. So
Absolutely.
isn't that contradictory? I mean, it's very confusing.
Well, It definitely is. But luckily, I went through this a while back. So, in my opinion, because this ties right into the once saved, always saved gospel, and this is the little trap that the enemy lays out there. Because you can only be saved by grace so that no man can boast. We know that's true, and that's absolutely true. We can't be saved any other way. We can't earn our way. Only through the grace of Jesus do we even have a hope. However, Jesus made it quite clear, in my opinion, that, see, the problem is people think salvation's a one-time thing. Just like they think getting filled with the Spirit's a one-time thing. They think you say the magic words, and they think you accept the grace of Jesus and say you repented and accept him into your heart, as they say, and you're good to go. But that isn't at all what Jesus taught, in my opinion. They sort of twist Paul's doctrines to make it sound that way, in my opinion. But Jesus told us quite clear, be careful. Don't lose your salvation. Work out your salvation with fear and trembling. Search the scriptures to show yourself approved. It's all through there. If you love me, keep my commandments. He who endures to the end shall be saved. There's no doubt that it's not a once saved, always saved type thing to me. So basically, we're only saved by grace. And I did a video about this a long, long time. It's probably 2-3 years old, back on my channel. I think it's called, something about love. I don't know. It's an older video.
I'll have to look it up.
But yeah, it is like a cool rock we took a picture of that's shaped like a heart. That's the cover of it. But anyhow, basically, if we truly are born again, truly, not this candy store thing that they sell you in the churches, not this simple poem you got to say, or this little rite you got to say, and you're good to go. If you're truly born again, if you truly get the Spirit, then you can't help but do works. They know us by our fruit. It isn't like we're doing works to be saved. We're doing works because we're saved. There's a big difference. It's because when you realize how much the Father's forgiven you for, and how much they love you, and how much they sacrificed just for you, how can you not want to follow his commandments and do good works? It comes natural. So you don't do works to be saved. You're saved through grace, period. Nothing you do can save you, but things you do can hurt you. That's the difference between the once saved, always saved gospel. If you're truly born again,
However,
you'll do good works. There's just no doubt about it. You can't help but do good.
I know that, but here's the confusing part about it. You have to do something. Isn't being saved a good work? Isn't asking God to come into your heart your work?
But we got to remember, and man, this ties so much into my Wednesday word. This freaks me out every week. We got to remember that we couldn't even do that without the Holy Spirit. See, we think it's sort of twisted where people say, well, you got to have faith to be saved. We can't have faith without the Spirit. We can't do anything. The only reason we even know enough to ask Jesus into our heart is through the Spirit. It still isn't anything we did. You know what I'm trying to say? It's never anything we did. The only reason we're even drawn to him is because of him, not because of us. Our nature is to do bad, period. It's just the way it is. So even the fact that we're drawn to him is through his grace. It still isn't us. When we have the faith to accept him, it's through his grace. It still isn't our faith. It's his faith in us.
Right. And I understand that, and I understand what it means.
Mm-hmm.
But to the person that doesn't understand what it means, it's very confusing. Because they're like, well, it contradicts itself. But see, I understand what it means. And, I've had that near-death experience, and I know God is real because I got a glimpse of heaven. And It's on that video. The video that I did today was my near-death experience. So if you get a chance later, check it out. But once you've had that experience, you know that there's more to this life than just these bodies that we're in.
You know what?
And I mean, to me, it's very crazy to look around at the millions of life forms on this planet. The sea is full of life. The forests are full of life. Well, there's life everywhere, insects and birds and animals and people and just everything. To think that all just happened like a coincidence out of a soup of atoms floating around out there. That's just, that's far-fetched to think that just happened by accident.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you have no critical thinking at all if you could believe that, in my opinion, that this was all an accident.
I mean, maybe one or two life forms, but all the different ones that are out there, no way. Okay, hon. Well, yeah, I just wanted to touch base with that because I could see where it would confuse people.
Well, yeah, it definitely can be confusing, but like I said, it's because we think of it the wrong way. Even when we start doing the good works, it isn't us doing them. That's what we got to remember. It's the spirit in us doing them. So we still can't boast. That's what it means by no man could boast. How could you boast? Because God's given you the grace to do something. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So, yeah, I mean, it ain't like all the works we do cannot get us to heaven. Absolutely no way. Only grace. But once we realize that, once we have the grace, then we can't help but do the works. That's basically what it's saying. If you're truly saved, if you're truly filled with the Spirit, then all you're going to do is the works of the Father. How can you not do it? That's what the Spirit does. It's all it does. So,
right.
Again, it's still not you though. It's the Spirit. So you still have no room to boast. I've said it before to Hebrew and Sadji. I've said it behind the scenes many times. We can't do anything good. You know what I mean? It isn't in us. Any good thing we do is the Spirit. It's that simple. So how could we ever boast about anything?
Well, I think God guides us through our thoughts. And I mean, every time that you stop and think about something, I think that's God saying, wait a minute, take a look at what you just said. Take a look at what you just did. Was that the right thing or the wrong thing? God is your conscious.
Oh, yes.
Your subconscious talking to you.
Absolutely.
They say that sometimes he'll give you messages through other people, through nature, through whatever.
Oh, yeah.
A book you read, anything.
Absolutely.
Music, television, anything. That's how I got it sometimes.
Anything. Right. I think that's what all these numbers and things are that people are seeing. That we're getting messages. We don't always understand what it means, but you just have to pay attention. Every time that I didn't used to, but now every time that I get an urge to say something to somebody that's nice or stop and turn around and talk to somebody that I normally wouldn't talk to, I do it because I feel like God said, wait a minute, back up and go talk to that person who's important. And you don't know what you're saying is even just a hello and a smile and a how are you doing could be just what they need,
Absolutely.
Something very simple.
Absolutely. And that's all part of getting in tune with that Spirit so you can hear it and listen to what it's telling you to do. And like I said, by hearing it, it don't mean necessarily hearing it. Like you said, it could be a squirrel, it could be a tree, it could be a lot of things.
But it's your thoughts.
Right.
I need to turn around and say something to that person.
Exactly.
But just feel the urge to go and say, how are you today? Even if it's somebody you don't even know.
Yep.
Okay, well, thanks for taking my call. You guys have a good night. I'm going to listen, but I'm going to go out and chat.
Well, thanks.
Keep up the good work.
Thanks for calling in. Great question.
Definitely.
Hebrew, you got anything to add to that?
Well, I just wanted to add that when you guys were talking about You're talking about the whole getting into heaven and once saved, always saved concept and stuff like that. I don't believe in the once saved, always saved concept myself either. I think it's a constant struggle, and one way it's a constant struggle. Another way, if you truly love Jesus and truly want to follow him, then you're going to do his commandments no matter what. But with that being said, you are going to have constant temptations. You're going to have constant battles with the enemy, and you just have to always have your armor on. You always have to be armored up. Pardon the pun, but you always have to be armored up, and it is constant vigilance is a must in that when it comes to that. And sometimes, as humans, we're going to slip. And when we slip, we know that we've slipped, and we try to repent and not do that again, and that's what I wanted to add to that, as far as adding something to it. And like you said, and like she said, when you feel like you got to say something to someone, like it could be something as simple as saying hello or how you doing or something like that. That sometimes that could very well be the Holy Spirit talking through you. You never know what it's going to be. I mean, I know for a fact. I mean, that's basically what happened to me and my testimony. That I told. It's been a few Shifty Sundays ago, but that's exactly how it happened to me anyway. So that's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, and Preliminal says, armor up a question, is faith also like practicing a skill? Well, faith, a lot of us seem to forget, faith is one of the gifts of the Holy Spirit. So faith is a gift. It's something you need to ask for. And just like all the gifts of the Holy Spirit, or any gift that the Father gives us, of course, the more we do it, the better we get at it. To those who are give little, a little is expected. More and more is expected. So the more you use a gift, it's like any muscle or like anything else. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. There's no doubt about that. So yeah, faith is sort of like practicing a skill because it's a gift. The more you practice your faith, the stronger your faith gets. And eventually you realize how none of this really matters. Father got it all. You know what I mean? Nothing, it's all right. Father got you covered no matter what. He's got your bills covered. He's got your food covered. He's got your house covered, your clothes. He's got it covered. He's got everything covered.
Totally.
And that's
totally
all
agree.
faith that the Father gives you. I mean, this faith, again, it's not a faith you can make. We can't do it. It's a gift of the Spirit. Everything to get us to the Father is a gift of the Spirit. There is absolutely nothing we can do to take that step. The Father is the one that puts it in us to take that step. And then he gives us the faith to take that step, as long as we keep seeking him, seeking the truth. And the more faith you seek, the more faith you get, just like any other gift. The more you practice it, the stronger it gets, just like any other gift.
Hey, look who joined us.
All right, Saji here. Awesome. I can't see that screen. I'm still in the phone line screen, but we don't have any numbers yet. Hey, Saji.
Oh, no, this isn't Saji. This is his best friend, Taurus.
Taurus. Hey, Taurus. You ain't giving me any bull, are you?
Maybe.
Man,
Well, would you guys believe it that I just woke up like 5 minutes ago, long enough to put some coffee in the coffee machine, and then here I am.
I figured that. We figured you might have been snoozing.
Yep, I made me a nice big dinner around 5:30. Well, about 4.5 hours ago, and I fell asleep. I got my belly full, and I fell right to sleep.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. Hey, and Data Junkie has a good point. Says, remember, guys, also that faith comes by hearing the word of God. So listening to others read the word increases our own faith, absolutely. And that's why I like doing readings on my channel.
Yeah, I came in mid, and I would agree with that one a lot, because being around it, having it in your hearing it, watching it and people practicing it, it definitely can increase
And also,
increase your ability a lot.
when you're reading the word yourself, read it out loud because even hearing yourself say it makes a difference.
For sure. And that's when I noticed that when I'm doing the Thirsty Thursday, whenever I read the word out loud to myself, I'm like, oh wow, I didn't never know that before. Or, oh wow, that's totally what that totally hits home with me. Or it's always something that there's always something new that I find out when I read that word, and I always kind of hear God's voice in a way, sort of. And I know that doesn't sound quite right, but I always kind of hear God's voice in a way when I start reading that word, and that's what I do on Thirsty Thursdays to refamiliarize myself with the word. And I hope that's what I'm bringing to everyone else when I do it as well.
It also seems like there's always something new that you can discover. This is a terrible analogy, so please realize I just woke up. But have you guys ever, like, I know back in the day, and I know Hebrew watches it, and I have to assume you've seen it before, Armor. The sitcom MASH. There's like so many episodes,
Oh yeah,
and
I grew up on
you have
that.
to.
Many
You think you've seen them all because there's no way you missed any. Then all of a sudden, you turn on the TV and MASH episodes on, and you're like, I don't remember this ever happening.
Oh yeah.
When did it? And it can be like that. No matter how many times you've read it, no matter how many times you've been to church, it seems like you can always find or discover something new that you didn't realize was there before.
That's a great analogy. There is times where I do watch something that I've seen maybe even 100 times, and I've seen it, and I go, wait a minute, I don't remember this ever happening in this episode. And then all of a sudden, when it gets halfway through the episode, oh yeah, I remember this, and then you get familiar with it. That's a great analogy, and that's how I feel when I read the Bible. I get refamiliarized with it. I'm like, oh yeah, now I know where this story is going. I know what this story is. So yeah, I totally understand. I could totally relate.
Well, and that's what it means by it's a living word. And also the Spirit reminds us of all truth. Now the Spirit can't remind us of all truth in one big bang. It'd blow our minds. We couldn't handle it. There's no way we could handle it. Little bits of truth that we get here and there are hard for a lot of people to handle, especially if you're extremely indoctrinated into a religion. It's hard when you realize a truth that goes against everything you were always taught. So imagine if the Holy Spirit just dumped all truth on you. Bang, here you go. Here's all the truth. You'd be done. So it's a living word because as you progress on your journey deeper and deeper, the Spirit reveals more and more truth to you.
Mm-hmm.
It knows what you can handle. So it'll give you this little bit of truth. And maybe 2-3 months, a year later, you'll read that same scripture and boom, you'll get hit with a whole new level of truth from the same exact words. You know what I mean?
The Spirit
So that's what it means by living word, because the Spirit's living and it interprets that word differently wherever you're at on your journey. It gives you the truth that you can handle at that time.
The Spirit never gives us more than what we can handle. That's for sure.
Yeah, and it's also for me in particular. I don't want to speak for anybody else, but more often than not, and I know I've said this before, even on our show here, more often than not, when you catch something where somebody else is already, be it a sermon at church on Sunday, or a show, or even a religious service on television. A lot of times, the message that somehow finds its way to you is the one you needed to hear most. It seems like that happens so often.
Oh, I just remembered what I wanted to say from that call in earlier. In the Bible, which is, of course, it was written by a man, but you always find that God is always written as a man. He's always written the Father, him, or he, his, the son, like when we talk about
Masculine, yes, in a masculine format.
it's always a he. I've always noticed that, and that's why I always say, well, the father's got to be a he. But I
Well,
always
like I,
used to say that. I used to say that. I don't, not anymore. But
like I said, you got to remember who wrote that book.
yeah,
Back then, females were literally nothing. I mean, I hate to be blunt, but that's the way it is. They were nothing. They were
And
property.
there's still
So to
places
say
in the
your
world
God
where
was
that's the
a female
case.
would be like against everything their whole society believed in. Their God could not be a female because females were property. Their God had to be a male. Their God had to be like all the other gods who was powerful and went to war and destroyed his enemies and beat babies on rocks and sacrificed goats. And yeah, I mean, come on. Their God was just like every other God from every other friggin' religion. I mean, it's just the way it is. We're looking at a book written by people who had their own ideas of what their God should look like. And in my opinion, Jesus came to tell them how wrong their ideas were.
Yeah, you could even take that a step further, if you wanted to, and if you go into different cultures of the world, their their version of the father represents their culture more so than it does, an Anglo American Caucasian culture, like we see so many pictures of Jesus hanging in living rooms in the United States. I mean, it's just kind of it's really what fits your it's whatever fits your mental image is fine. I mean, I don't think that it's wrong to create your own mental image in your own way, as long as you're still adhering to the same words, and you're still having the same, you're still practicing the same faith. It really doesn't matter, what your mental image construct, if it slightly varies.
well, that's the other place we get it from. Also, is that when Jesus was brought into this world as a human being, he was brought here as a man, and I think that's another place where it's coming from. Also,
Well, like I said, he had to become as a man. If he came as Mary Magdalene, nobody would have listened to anything he had to say. He was a woman. They have no rights to even speak back then. We we got to remember the times Jesus came in. They had no rights. Period. They couldn't speak. They couldn't teach. They couldn't do anything. So if he is to come to a woman as a woman, he'd have got nowhere. No one would listen to him. He had to be a man.
Yeah.
Especially coming to the Jews.
yeah, boy, I tell you, them Jews back then had some really strict laws, and from what I'm reading on the Thursday, I could certainly see how they had to. It wasn't them. Well, it wasn't them, so to speak. Of it was more of the Romans, who they feared would come down on them. So they had to pin something on someone. So they put all of they come forward and said that Jesus was claiming to be King of the Jews. When they got word of this, well, then they had no choice in their minds to hand over Jesus to the Romans, and actually, from what I understand, the Romans didn't want anything to do with it. They wanted to wash their hands on the whole thing.
Yeah, it's hard to get a. I mean, it's hard for us to say for sure what the exact political culture was at the time, but I mean, any time that it's explained to me, or somebody's tried to interpret it based off the readings of the Bible, it does seem like the Romans greatly influenced the mental state of how people what people would publicly pronounce and what people privately believed were two totally different things.
So,
Did I lose you guys?
no, I just wanted to ask you.
I was just reading the comments. Data Junkie says, God said in Genesis, let us make them in our image. And Jesus said, if you've seen me, you've seen the Father. Sounds like it wasn't strategic, meaning he had to be male for a strategic reason, but he's in God's image made flesh. Well, he either had to come male or female. Or, what do you call them? Hermaphrodites or whatever, that's both. I don't know the correct term. Transsexual.
Yeah, me neither. We'll just go with that.
So, again, I think the minute you try to put male or female on the Father, Son, and Spirit, you've already sort of missed the point. There is no male or female. Male or female is a human thing and an animal type thing. It's a skin suit. It's an earth worldly type thing, a flesh thing. It's not a heaven thing. There is no male and female in heaven, as near as what I can tell from what I've read anyway. And Jesus basically said the same thing. You don't marry or get married in heaven. There's no male. It ain't like that.
Yeah, so, and it seems like, well, I mean, and it seems like that testimony of that guy, I can't think of his name ever, but the guy that you sent me, that testimony of him dying and going to heaven, he said that there are no genders in that situation, in that scenario, that we're all by what is it called, binary or whatever. We're not either male nor female when we're in heaven.
Yeah, I mean, and we don't know. I mean, I'm just stating things that I believe from what I've read. It's all our opinions. We don't know.
Yeah. It's open to interpretation to some degree, but it's safe to assume that we're made in, like it says, we're made in an image. It doesn't say we're the exact cookie cutter, exact duplicate image.
And the things you got first, or the things you forgot, yeah, has a great point. If you want to use Genesis, like we quoted earlier, remember it also says, let us make man in our image, male and female, we will make them. So right there, he's saying our image is male and female. I mean, it's one way to interpret that.
Yeah, good point.
And the spirit of wisdom is absolutely always referred to as female. I agree. And the spirit of wisdom supposedly in heaven. I agree with that also. But we don't know if the spirit of wisdom is the Holy Spirit. We just assume that because this Holy Spirit gives us truth and remembrance of everything Jesus said. We don't know if that's the spirit of wisdom, though. We just assume that. There could be a whole different spirit. Not saying that it's another piece of the Trinity. But there's lots of spirits in heaven. There's lots of angels / spirits in heaven that have different missions. So is the spirit of wisdom just another angel? Or is it the Holy Spirit? Who knows?
So, Sagittariusly speaking, let me ask you this, brother. I know you've just woke up and you haven't had time to put anything together or anything like that, but was there anything that you put together this week that you'd like to share with us, a story perhaps of sorts?
I don't have anything raring to go like this very second now.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sitting here holding my notebook anxious to share something. So
okay, I mean, I know you just woke up, so I'll let it go this time.
Okay, yeah, don't fire me, boss.
Okay.
I'm having an off week.
I see that. Hey, did you mention something to me? I think we talked about it over the phone, but I don't think we talked about it over the air. Something about another hurricane was getting ready to hit Florida.
Yeah, it's a tropical storm. I think it's hitting now, or it might have already came and went. I'm not even sure. It never made it to my neck of the woods, whatever it is.
We haven't had any rain in my neck of the woods, and oh gosh, it seems like for a month already. My peppers are all drying up. I need to go out there and water them, I suppose, but I'm getting ready to pick them all anyway. So, eh.
Yeah, sorry I missed the beginning, guys. I assume everybody had a decent week and everybody's okay. I missed our introductions.
Oh yeah, we had an awesome introduction, and let me just say, did you know that it is Armor Up's anniversary?
Well, what like a wedding anniversary or
Only for another hour.
okay? Well, congratulations
Thank
for
you
at
very
least
much.
for the it extends. At least I didn't totally miss it.
Yeah, you made it for
So
the
did you
tail.
did you do anything special, unique? What year is it?
34.
Oh wow.
Yeah, last year was the 33rd, so we had some Masonic aprons and we built a pyramid in the yard. And
Well, that's cool.
third, we had to do something special for the 33rd. So the
You got a
34th,
real.
after you've made it to the 33rd, what's the 34th? You know.
Yeah, at least like you're practicing traditionally. That's good to know. No, very that is an achievement. That is a real achievement because I can attest from being married myself. I only made it 7 years into my marriage it before I saw divorce papers heading my way. So in hindsight, I wish I would have done things differently, but also the road that the things that developed as a result of it, some of them were blessings as well too. So it's really hard to say what the right answer was, but I don't believe people should get married. I don't think people always think it through as a lifetime commitment when they're standing there at the altar. They don't realize the commitment that they're making. That's that's my I guess my the reason I guess so many marriages fail and so many don't end in divorce is because people don't take into consideration the real commitment that being married is.
Yeah, I mean, everybody wants the easy way out. If it gets a little tough, it's easier to cut and run
Yeah.
than fight it out. They don't have any fear of, what marriage is supposed to mean or the vows they took.
And it's easy to
I'm not saying I'm better than anyone. I'm divorced. I had a first wife, so I'm not tooting
yep.
my own horn, but, you know, things I
Well, you
learned.
don't always get it right on the first try, right?
Yeah. But, if when we really realize the commitment we made and realize that it's, the Father meant for us to be together, it says become one flesh. When you start putting the Bible, what it says about marriage into practice, it makes a big difference. The problem is most people don't. It gets a little tough. They cut out. They think love's some type of feeling when it's a decision. It's that simple. Love ain't a feeling. It's a decision. Period. You either decide to love them or you don't. Feelings have
Yep.
nothing to do with it.
You know
Lust
what's
is
funny
feel.
is my ex-wife. I still love her today as much as I loved her from day one. I've always cared deeply for her. She is also the mother of my child, but I never my feelings for her never changed. It was just my ability to live with her that became impossible. Not to go into too many intimate details, but we just couldn't find a way to get along. That was our biggest problem. We started finally getting along when we didn't live together anymore.
Yep, and that's what I was saying earlier in the show before you was on when Heber asked me about a big secret or anything. That's the main thing. You got to find something you both enjoy and do it. Find something to get along, basically. Something you have in common, something you enjoy, and do it.
It is a major achievement. How many years have you been married now, Hebrew?
been married for 5 years. We've been together for 15 altogether. So
Well, if
I'm,
you've been together 15 years, and you're still, you guys are still figuring it out. Looks like you're on the right track.
uh, yeah, we got a long ways to go to catch up with Armor, but you know what? It's like he said, you got to find something you both enjoy. And we both, there's a lot of things we both like to do. We both like to go to the, we both like to go to the Superman Fest in June, and we both like to go to, we both put together one hell of a good 4th of July party. And we both have our vacations we like to go on and stuff like that. We like to go swimming. We like playing video games and watching scary movies. I mean, basically, what another good thing is the two of you have got to be best friends. I mean, your wife can very well be your best friend too. A lot of people say, well, your wife can't be your best friend or whatever, but it is possible. And if you find someone who is your best friend as well as somebody that you care for very deeply, then I think you found the right one. And like Armor said, if it's meant to be, God will put the two of you together. And I think definitely, and in his case, God definitely put the two of them together. And I think God put me and my wife together, to be honest with you, in my opinion. So that's truly, it ain't no big secret, but it is. And it is something you got to work on too. I mean, not to say we're not going to get plenty of fights and arguments. Every couple does that, and even friends do that. We have our disagreements and whatever, but we always seem to find that one common foe to fight over. And then it brings you together. You know what I mean? Or at least that's the way I feel about it. How about you guys?
No, I can relate to that. I mean, you're going to have ups and downs. You're going to have differences. It really bottom line is it boils down to your ability to compromise. You win some, you lose some. You don't always get your way. It's also you have to learn how to. Um, there can be power struggles in a marriage. Whose opinion, you might feel differently about a certain thing that comes up for your children, the way you want them to do this or that, or certain values or morals. All these things come into play as you're growing and getting older and developing your family. So if you can figure out ways to compromise, figure out ways to manage through it, and over the years and over time, you just become stronger and stronger. It's not something that happens overnight, and it's not something that um, you can say, oh well, now I'm in the clear. Since I made it to this spot, from now on I've got it.
Mhm.
Nope, you're always gonna
Definitely.
have something new that pops up, and for lack of a better word, the devil or the whatever you want to call him, he's always going to throw. He's always going to take. He's always going to look for that one weakness or whatever,
Mhm.
wherever he can weasel his way in to try to make your life, um, turn your life, or make something happen negative. He always finds that spot. So you gotta you
That's
gotta stay on your A game.
that's definitely ties into what I said about the Father earlier. Is there's we were talking about getting into heaven and doing good deeds and being good and staying one with the Father definitely ties into that whole argument also. Not to belittle it or anything like that. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying like
Hmm.
you have to stay on your toes. You have to be eternally vigilant. You have to put on that armor, and it's the same way for marriage. You got to stay on your toes. You got to stay vigilant. And like you said, the enemy's always going to try to do something to break you guys apart, or he's going to try to do something to throw in those little arguments and stuff like that. I was telling God's Armor about a week ago, I think it was. We got into this little spat over a sweetener, how many sweetener packets we had. I mean, it was just those little tiny things like that can lead into big things, and that's the enemy playing with you. That's the enemy trying to bring you down. the enemy knows that those little things can build up to great big things, and that's what we were talking about last week. I said that I had a bad time in line and whatever, and then when we got through the line, she said, "Now I bought that sweetener. I get half of it or whatever." I said, "The hell you do?" I said, "I paid for that sweetener. That sweetener is mine." And she, she said, "Well, you can just have your precious little sweetener." Then, and I mean, we got into quite the spat over it. And then when I got home, I said, "What the hell was that all about? Why in the world? Why in the world did we get into an argument over a freaking little box of 24 or 50 packs of sweetener or something like that?" And then me and Armour was talking about it. He's like, "You better give your wife half of that sweetener." And I said, "I think you're right." So I was going to anyway, but
I had to talk him down with the sweetener. It's like, brother, going to have to give up some sweetener.
So yeah, he did. He had to talk me down with. I said, "Look," he said, "Look, I know you're stocking up for the end times. You got to have sweetener with that coffee." But he said, "You're going to have to share the sweetener." Yep. So, so I did. I ended up giving.
If you want to find her this shit,
go ahead. What were you saying?
Nothing. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
All right. Yeah. No, my phone, I set it down and the screen timed out, and that's what you heard, I think.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to get it to come back on. I don't want to. But yeah, I mean, it's better to have a slightly bitter coffee than a slightly bitter wife. I can tell you that much.
Hey, that should go on the T-shirt. I like that.
There you go. No, but that was funny though, and it is, it is good and it's true. That's how easy the enemy does it. Boom, something stupid like that. He got upset in line and then it spread into the parking lot, and like I told him, see, and that's part of our growth. Pretty soon you'll learn to nip it in the bud so it don't happen in the parking lot, and then he'll learn to nip it before it even happens in the line, and that's the way it works. Don't let the enemy get down on you because you messed up. Just realize you messed up, correct it as best you can, share a little sweetener, and next time nip it in the butt quicker.
The hardest thing for a guy is almost always to admit that he was wrong. When a guy can start doing that, especially with his wife, it goes a long way.
Yeah, you got that right. We don't like to be wrong.
Even if you don't actually come out and say, "I'm admitting it, I was wrong," just make it you can put it in the form of a gesture or an unspoken truth, as long as she's acknowledging the fact that you're acknowledging it.
we give each other gestures all the time. She'll say, "Hey, come here, look, I got something for you." She'll pull her middle finger out of her purse or something. You're like, no, but it's just all in good fun. It's just joking around and stuff. But you know how that can get out of the hand sometimes too. You joke just a little bit too much.
I tell you what, when I realized that my marriage was going to not work, was when we quit arguing. When we quit,
yeah.
When you realize that we had, that's when we realized that we had given up on each. That's when I realized we had given up on each other. We didn't argue anymore. We just didn't talk. We would wake up in the morning. I'd go to make my coffee or breakfast, and we'd get the kids off to school, and I'd get in my car and go to work. And I mean, her and I hadn't said a word to each other. We just went through the motions of what we had to do to start our day without even speaking. That's when I realized we were doomed.
That's how you can tell. That's how I can tell my wife is really mad at me. On the day she's really mad at me, she either won't talk to me at all, or she'll say, "You know what? Go ahead and do whatever you want." That's when at first you're like, oh man, this sounds great, but no,
No, that's not the answer you were really wanting. You
no,
think it's the answer you want, but it's not the answer you really want.
right. That's when you know you're in trouble when they say, oh, just go do whatever you want. But that's kind of the same thing we tell our kid. We say, if we didn't yell at you or didn't tell you, get on to you for doing stuff or this and that, it would mean we didn't care about you. So, when you guys are arguing and stuff like that, you must really care about each other. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
'Cause
So I haven't heard anything about the chat room besides a few quotables you mentioned earlier. What's our chat room looking like? You want to give them a quick shout out and see what kind of feedback we getting from chat there? Anybody?
Well, I could do that. Data Junkie said that she thought they taught us blokes that before the wedding as part of our marriage survival guide. I didn't know we'd get a book. I got ripped off. I got no job. Nothing. Maybe they didn't come out in that year. This was a while ago.
Yeah, that was before the war.
Yeah, I didn't get no survival. We were
before the war of what, 1812?
Hey, I can hear you,
I didn't.
All right, we got the things you forgot in the room. Data Junkie, Lorraine Lamore, Pre-La Minimal, Euler Greg, Screwin, Michelle, Spiritually Awakened 2019 Perez. Scrolling. Jocko's here. I don't see his name yet, but I know Jocko's hanging out. He's just
all
not
right.
I think that's everybody. I hope that's everybody. If I forgot you, well, then talk, and I'll see you and say, oh, and I forgot this one. Because I think that's all I see. Take it away, Hebrew.
Well, I don't know what I was supposed to say, but I'll tell you what.
Well, I noticed you made some videos. You got busy today or yesterday and finally put out some videos. Did you want to talk about them?
Oh, yeah, I put out some videos earlier today. One of the videos is about Kmart. I have some proofs on where the space would have gone. Not the space, the dash. It still has a space if you look at the video. And the other video is about the Incredible Hulk. And you know what? While we're here, why don't we...
Sorry to cut you off, but we forgot Connie Joe Wood, and she was even a caller. So, see, it ain't easy doing shout-outs. Carry on.
You mentioned the Hulk, you said?
Oh, yeah, the Incredible Hulk. While we're here, why don't we ask the audience, and I'm sure it's not a Mandela effect, but I'd like to... I'm curious as to what everybody remembers anyway.
He was green, right?
Actually, originally, the Incredible Hulk was gray in the comic book.
No, he wasn't.
Yeah, no,
he was like an Aquamarine. Oh, wait, that's Aquaman. Never mind.
No, I'm just playing. I watched the video. I did see in those early comic book series, the first couple ones, he did have a gray color to him instead of green.
Yeah,
and I saw where you had one that didn't even have the word incredible. It was just the Hulk.
Yeah, when I went back.
What's up with that?
When I went back and tried to find it again, I couldn't find it for the life of me. And I was like, maybe that's been Mandela affected.
In real time, yeah.
Yeah. But I want to ask the audience this real quick. Does anyone out there remember the show, The Incredible Hulk? The TV show?
The one with Lou Ferrigno as the Hulk?
Yes.
Okay. And what was the guy that played
Bixby, I believe.
The mild-mannered version?
Bill Bixby.
Bill Bixby, yeah.
I think Armor Up said it first, but we didn't hear him.
You know, I was a child, I watched that show, and I really thought it was a great TV show. Like, I would get so excited. I remember being a little kid just being so excited about the Incredible Hulk coming on TV.
Yeah, I tell you, I used to do that too. And when I was a little kid, I used to put on adult size clothes, and I would pretend like I ripped right through them when I was a little kid, like they had outgrown me or something. Like it when
Well, I
I
mean,
like,
the premise of the show really is all about anger management, if you really think about it.
well, that's the whole premise of the Incredible Hulk,
Yeah, that's what I mean.
right? I mean, like the argument the producer had was like, why wasn't he red? Red to me would be more like anger. Green would be
Yeah,
envy. You know?
I can see what you're saying. I think because that would have made him look a little bit too demonic, maybe.
I don't know. But what was my question anyway?
Oh, I think you were going to go with the something he said.
I think Lorraine Lamar has something for Italians or something. She keeps mentioning how she likes Italians. But yeah, let me ask the audience this real quick, and you guys can answer too if you want. But in the opening title sequence, he's talking to the newspaper reporter, Mr. McGee, and he says, "Mr. McGee," and then he says something, and here's the two.
Ask it this way. Don't influence him. He says, Mr. McGee, blank, you wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
All right, well, there you go. Just that. What was the quote that he said? Does anybody out there just say it in the line? Now, how'd that go again? Armor up.
He says, Mr. McGee, and then a sentence, blank. He says, Mr. McGee, blank, you wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
There we go. We'll see what
I definitely remember the "you wouldn't like me when I'm angry" part. The part that's
Well, now wait a
the
minute.
blank. The blank part. Now that's I'm struggling with exactly, but I think I know what he said.
Lorraine Lamore's got an answer so far. Let's see what else we get
Hey, wait, where?
I don't remember.
in the chat.
Oh, okay.
She mailed it in. Let me read it real quick.
Hold on, let me check my email.
No, I
Lorraine
mean,
video. But she says,
oh,
you
saw my
forgot to
video.
you never watch it. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry. Yeah, that's the end part. He says, blank, you wouldn't like me when I'm angry. We're looking for the before the you wouldn't like me when I'm angry. Like Lorraine said, don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry. That's her answer. We're looking for the line before you wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
Well, I already watched the video, so I really probably shouldn't participate because I've been skewed.
I didn't watch the video, but I already answered him pre-show. So, good night, wise asker. They got to go to sleep. Thanks for tuning in.
Wise asker.
Don't make me angry. Jocko says, don't make me angry. Lorraine says, don't make me angry. I also said, don't make me angry when he asked me earlier. Mr. McGee.
That's probably what I would have said as well.
Like me when I'm angry.
We had this conversation, Ebro, when we were talking, remember, a few days ago, and I said something along those lines. What did I say? Do you remember?
It's been a few days ago. You expect me to remember that far back?
Well, I assume that it was that conversation that kind of sparked you to make the video in the first place.
Oh no.
Hey, Eddie Von Keen in the house. The
Hey,
real one. I'm already angry. Don't be angry, Eddie.
Yeah, because you sent me a message afterwards saying something about Mr. McGee, and after we hung up.
Can I have a raise?
That's funny.
Johnny Joe says, don't make me mad. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry. My son says he thought it was don't make me mad also.
Should I spill the beans?
Yeah, I think we're ready for it. Go ahead. What's the official? What is it now, or what is? How is it?
Okay, well, what it is now is, Mr. McGee, don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry. But the way I remembered it, and this is the way I remembered it. Don't shoot the messenger. But ow! That got me right in my sword, and it hit my hand. Thank you. Why did you shoot me?
You're very welcome.
He says you're very welcome.
It wasn't me. You
Hey,
can't prove anything.
you can't shoot Armor Up. He's armored up.
I think it deflected off him and hit you.
I think so. Yeah, you are shooting from left to right. I mean, you know.
Let's talk about a trick shot.
But did you bring the coleslaw? What? Okay, but here's the way I remember it. Okay.
I think Mr. McGee had his coffee sweetener. I think that's what it was.
But here's the way I remembered it is, Mr. McGee, you're making me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry. That's the way I remembered it. Him saying, Mr. McGee, you're making me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry. But now that I say it more, the don't make me angry kind of makes more sense because it's more in the pretense. And then him saying that you're making me angry, please don't make me. If he said, please don't make me angry, that would have made more sense, I guess. But I definitely remember it. You're making me angry. And now it's don't make me angry. So that's basically why I wanted to bring that up. And I brought it up enough in my video for those that watched the video. But so there's that one. There's that mystery solved. So what did you say your answer was, Sagittarically speaking?
The way I remember it is that makes me angry. Or that, Mr. McGee, that makes me angry. Mr. McGee, don't make, I don't know, something about it. I can't remember for sure, but I always thought he said that makes me angry. You're not going to like me when I'm angry.
Oh, yeah. See, that would also make sense. I guess any of those would make sense, wouldn't they?
Yeah, either
to
way, we
some
know we
degree.
ain't gonna like him if he's angry. We know that.
Yeah. That's the part that we all agree on.
Did you ever see the one where he mixed this special formula and it made him into like an evil David Banner?
I don't remember now. It's been so long since I've watched them. I just remember him picking up cars and throwing them and stuff.
It was I like the one that they did on Family Guy. They did like a spoof of it, and if you remember the opening of the show where he hits his hand with the tire iron, he hits his hand, and it's raining outside, it's lightning, and that's what turns him into the Hulk. And then like when they did the remake on Family Guy, it's like when he hits his hand with the tire iron, it's Stewie, and he goes, "Ow! I hurt my hand with this tire iron." And then all of a sudden he changes to the Hawk because he hurt his hand. And then when he turns in the Hawk, it's Peter. He turns into Peter.
The things you forgot says that could probably be the message behind all the changes. Don't make me angry.
Ooh, hey man, that's not a bad point at all, man. I like that. I like that a lot. As a matter of fact, I'm going to write that down. Oh wait, where'd my pen go? Oh well, I guess I'll have to write it down tomorrow. It'll still be in the comment section. So I guess we put on a pretty good show, guys. What do you think?
You say so.
If I say so.
We had some good callers and some good questions, no doubt about that.
Oh, wait a minute. Mr. Jocko says, I was already disappointed with Lou. He had to wear sandals. Really? How do you know he was wearing sandals? It looked like to me he was barefooted. I mean, barefooted. He was barefoot the whole time. I guess they must have painted the sandals so that they look like his feet. I guess the feet were like a cast or something. I don't know. I
They
don't
could have been really thin sandals, just so that he could, do all that stuff without looking like he's doing that barefoot walk. You know how you walk when you're barefooted, kind of
Oh, yeah.
gingerly.
I remember when I was a kid, I used to walk around barefoot all the time. See, now you're making me want to say barefooted. It's not barefooted. I don't think.
Well, if a bear had more than 1 foot, he would be barefooted.
Wouldn't he just then have bare feet?
I'm just playing.
I don't know, but yeah, it's been another amazing Shifty Sunday, man. I think, like you said, we had a lot of good callers, and well, not a
How
lot.
many calls did we have? How many? I mean, I know I got here late, but I didn't realize I was that late.
I think there's what, three?
Two, three. Do we have three? Oh, no, two, right?
Oh,
I know we had the truth. You forgot, who suffered through and got it working with us. And then Connie Joe. Did I forget someone? Who else called in? Was that it?
He called twice. Oh, I guess that was it. I was thinking Lorraine called in for some reason.
Yeah, Lorraine just had her theme song. That's probably why she's on your mind.
Oh, okay. Did you play the theme song at the beginning, like we were talking about? Did it go over well?
Didn't get a video made yet, but we did play the song. Yep.
Awesome.
The things you forgot said it's barefooted. I don't know. That doesn't sound right, though. Is it barefooted?
I think he's just messing with you.
Oh. I don't know.
I think it depends on what state you're in.
Yep.
Right? But it's a shame you didn't have any stories, man. You were late and you didn't have any stories.
I know, right?
I know. I look forward to story time with Sadji. That's the only reason I come to this show.
I'll tell you what. I'll make up for it. I'll have 2 next week.
I don't know, man. Maybe I should make
my anniversary. I don't even get a story for my anniversary.
I know,
Frank.
right?
Thanks, Frank.
I mean,
I'm gonna make you stay after school.
Yeah, I mean, you can demote me if you want.
I'm just gonna make him stay in the call after we end the show, and he's gonna look up a story and give me a bedtime story.
There you go. Oh man. You know what I always like to do when my kid was little is I
Hey,
always
you guys should just be lucky I made it because was.
Uh-oh.
Oh, he's glitching. He's trying to robot us.
All right, my screen timed out again. If I don't hold my phone, it eventually goes to black screen.
Mm.
And then you can't hear me and I can't hear you.
Well, Lorraine's going to tell us a story. Once upon a time, there were 3 men in different states.
Okay.
Wait for it. Wait for it.
Waiting. Yep.
Talk amongst yourselves while we wait.
Well, can I tell this real quick, though? I was going to tell about my little kid. Like, when she was little, I used to tell her the 3 bears, but I never told it about porridge. I always make something up like it was spaghetti that the mom was cooking, or maybe the mom was cooking.
Oh, did you make it like Italian bears and then Papa Bear came in and said, someone slept in my bed. Forget about it.
Yeah.
Like do a whole Italian bear thing? That would be awesome.
Yeah. Hey, what's this girl doing up here?
Well, I got something for you guys since you gave me such a hard time. I actually called in on Dan's show on Friday.
Oh, you did?
At the beginning, yeah, and at the beginning of his show, and I read this. So,
okay.
You know,
I gotta
some
go back and
people.
watch that.
I'll go ahead. We had on Friday. It was the harvest moon, which isn't to be confused with the full moon, which is technically the night after. But now we have a full moon for 3 days in this reality, where I only remember in our old reality we had a full moon. There was one night of the full moon, and then all the other nights were. I mean, it still kind of looked full, but it really wasn't the night of the full moon. Are you guys with me on this? Do you?
So far,
Okay. All right. So the harvest moon is kind of a big deal because it's the first, it's the last full moon before the autumn equinox, or equinox, however you pronounce that. And that the purpose of this moon is, it gives farmers, back in the day when everybody had a farm, because that's how you got your vegetables. You didn't go to Walmart, and you had all. It gave you light to go work into the evening to make sure that you harvested, um, all your crops and got them brought in before winter came. So that was the purpose of the harvest moon. That's why it's called that. But the spiritual, meaning, according to this Warrior Backlund on Elite Daily, she wrote a little thing about it, and she said, um, "Can't you feel the spiritual energy begin to rise now that autumn is fast approaching? This is the season that starts a slow, patient process of death after a vibrant and burgeoning summer. However, this death is not the end. It's about shedding skin, letting go, and cleansing yourself from deep within so you can prepare for a swift rebirth. The veil is thinning, and the spiritual meaning of the 2019 harvest moon will help you dig deep or dig into your heart and discover what truly lies there. It takes place on September 14th at 12:32 a.m., technically Friday the 13th for most of the United States. The harvest moon always happens nearest the autumn equinox, according to timeanddate.com. This full moon marked the moment your ancient ancestors collected their crops and began storing them away for the impending winter. Spiritually speaking, the harvest moon is all about taking stock of your emotional and physical well being, helping you come to terms with the results of the decisions you've made so far. After that, it's about understanding what you could have done differently. Forgive yourself for your mistakes and decide that you'll learn from them. However, spiritual symbolism aside, this is still a full moon, which means it's a time marked by overwhelming emotions, volatility, and unexpected twists and turns. It's a moment of culmination and revelation, meaning that a situation may be coming to a head and a light will shine itself on the truth. Although the aftermath of a full moon can feel difficult to accept, it's always meant to point you in the right direction. If something is taken away from you, remember that truthfully, you might not really want it in the first place. When you realize what else the universe has in store, you might be glad it never worked out. And you can replace universe, I think, with the word father if you want.
All right, we'll count that as a short story time with Saji, I guess. For
All
all you
right.
moon worshippers out there you go. A little goddess stuff for you.
Yeah,
he
at least it was a positive overall message.
I jest. Hey, alone one in the house. All right, Lorraine's story. We got 3 lines now. Once upon a time, there were 3 men in different states. They noticed changes that were unexplained. So they decided to do a podcast. There you go.
Yeah.
That sounds like the beginning of an 80s sitcom if I ever heard one.
Yeah, that's what I thought. The things you forgot said it's hard for him to believe in horoscopes. It almost sounded like a horoscope type thing, didn't it? I agree.
Yeah, it did. And that was Dan's reaction after I read it, too. He went straight to talking about horoscopes and whatnot. I didn't. When I read it, I just kind of I took it tongue in cheek because that's kind of how I read a horoscope or a fortune cookie when when you get one. I mean, I don't really take it literally or to mean anything super deep and meaningful, but it's one of those things that just kind of makes for a light conversation piece more than anything else.
Yeah, I never get a paper, read a paper. That's I never see
Yeah.
my horoscope. I used to though back in the day, just to check them out, see what they said.
You know what is funny? A friend of mine texted me saying it's Friday the 13th and it's a full moon. So if you feel strange that night, then something, I forget how the rest of the text went, but I was like, man, I got to go out and check out the moon, but I never did. So it seemed like we had a full moon like almost 3 or 4 nights straight in a row, seemed like. And that it seems like we never had a full moon that many nights in a row that I can recall. I mean, I didn't
Yeah.
watch the show Friday night, so I don't know what was talked about, but I guess I'll have to go back and watch that show.
Yeah. Another thing is, I mean, I'm I have to admit that when I worked in a call center for the longest time, we took incoming calls, and I knew when it was a full moon, even when it wasn't a full moon. Like, I mean, or even if I didn't know on the didn't look at the calendar that day, or didn't look up at the sky to see that the moon was full. Just by the way the calls came in, I mean, it seems like whenever there's a full moon, people do act differently. I know that emergency response calls are usually higher on nights of a full moon. I mean, people are affected by somehow, some way. The moon does have an effect on us.
Yeah, no doubt. I could agree with that. I mean, statistics prove that people get a little crazy, a little loony, which comes from the word lunar,
Yep.
during a full moon. Lorraine's ongoing story. Here we go. Overcoming severe technical difficulties, they persevered, relying on their faith and specific knowledge of pop culture. They offered their best advice and observations.
Well, that pretty much nails it, doesn't it?
Sure enough.
I like that story better than the moon story. Just saying.
I could, I can see why. It's more realistic.
Yeah, there's a ring of truth.
So, yep. All right. I just had to put that up there. I don't know. I'm being silly.
I can't even see that screen. I guess I need to go see what I'm missing.
Nah, it's nothing.
All right.
Yeah, I'm missing it too. Oh, full moon's when a plumber's working on the drain.
I thought that was a half moon.
I'm trying
Oh,
to stay
yeah.
Yes, we're going.
You might be right. Yeah, it's a crescent moon. All right, I'll take that down. But anyway, I'd like to,
They say being a plumber ain't all it's cracked up to be. I'm just saying.
right? So, okay. Now we missed it the last 2 weeks. Now, are we going to try to do the morning, the Monday morning thing?
You're the one who always asks me this, and then you're the one who never is awake to do it.
I know, right? What's wrong with me here lately?
Let's just say,
And you guys had this conversation last week.
yes.
Ooh,
And I wake up relatively early for me, and I have some coffee, and I wait because I don't want to call you if you're sleeping. If you're finally getting you some good rest, I mean, I know you just, you're still recovering from your surgery and whatnot. So I don't want to, I don't want to bother you.
yeah. You call me, hey man. You call me, it'd be like an alarm going off. I need to be awake at that time anyway. I don't need to be sleeping around.
Well, let's just say that let's just let the audience, if they're listening, know that it could happen, but it might not happen.
So
Okay, another part of our story. Word spread across the land that Sunday nights didn't have to be boring, and the people tuned in.
hmm,
Well, that's cool.
should I be writing this down?
Way better than that moon story.
Yes, definitely. Why didn't we just hire her to write our stories for us from now on?
I know, right? Hey, she already
From
wrote
the
it.
dead puppies to the moon, your stories have been rough lately.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about the dead puppies. Oh
You
my god.
know, what I was thinking about the other day, and I know this is terrible, but I don't know if you guys remember. I don't even know if I should even go here, but the dead puppies triggered me, so here I am.
Uh oh.
Um, there's a old episode of Tom and Jerry when they, I'm pretty sure it
Oh,
was Tom and Jerry, where the little kittens in
oh
the
yeah.
bag show up at St. Peter. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, my wife talks about that episode all the time. She said it makes her sad. She's like,
Yeah, and the kids are so happy they don't have the slightest clue as how they ended up there.
right? Yeah, you see all those cats and whatnot. They're going. You see, I think it's Tom. He goes to heaven, and all of a sudden you see like a sack, and it's got all the kittens in there, and it's in
Yeah, with their
heaven.
little heads popping out, smiling, all happy. They're
Yeah.
just so happy to be there at the pearly gates. But the truth of the matter is, it's terrible that they're in a sack and they're showing up there. I can't believe they even put that in the cartoon.
Yeah, there's a lot of really dark, disturbing things in the children's cartoons if you really look at them and examine them, especially the ones we had when we were growing up, man. It's like, how many times have you seen Elmer Fudd get hit in the head with a shovel? How many times you seen like Daffy Duck's head getting blown off, but only to have his bill spin around and him be all
Yeah,
right? You know, it's like, you know, so much
yeah,
more violent than what we can really remember unless we're really paying attention. But I mean, and they complain about the violence that's on TV today, and it's like, oh, come on, give me a break, man. You know, and it's like I tell my kid all the time, I encourage her to watch those cartoons, and we used to tell her all the time, now that doesn't really happen in real life. Like, don't not that she's going to go around trying to the shoot people in the face or anything like that. I'm just saying, you try to explain to them that's you can't shoot someone in the face and then just their bill will turn around or whatever.
yeah. I mean, I understand, and it does seem like cartoons back then did have a lot more um, action as far as like violent sequences. I mean, I guess that's why the Simpsons have the whole Itchy and Scratchy show, right? They exploit that, you know. But
Yeah, but back then we had a lot more common sense.
Mhm.
We knew it was a
yeah,
cartoon.
exactly.
It's just like I said, not only that, but you had like the Three Stooges and all that other stuff. We knew not to go around slapping and poking each other in the eyes, and we knew not to do that stuff. And now it's
You
like,
would think, however, there was a lot of when the Three Stooges were in their prime. You would be surprised how many tales there were of ER visits of kids accidentally poking each other in the eye and stuff, trying to reenact that.
well, I don't know, but like yeah, I just see Three Stooges related incidents, and they had a special wing. They had a special wing for that. The Three Stooges wing. No, but Armor's right. Us kids back then, we had a lot more common sense back then than they do now. It's like, you know, I don't know what to say.
On one hand, I agree with you, but on the other hand, I also remember building some really sketchy bicycle ramps.
Oh, well, yeah. But you know what else
With
though?
some bricks and a little piece of wood,
And
and for some reason I lived through it. I don't
the
know how.
Yeah.
and the
Yeah,
thing is,
absolutely.
we didn't wear helmets or elbow pads or knee pads or any of that garbage either. So how the heck, we we did those crazy jumps and stuff like that, and we survived somehow by the grace of God, I guess.
Yeah, for some reason it was always my brother that ended up getting hurt every time I thought of some crazy scheme. Like I was like after I did the ramp once successfully, I was like, all right, now you ride on the handlebars and let's try
Well,
it.
me and
Things
Armor,
like
me and Armor were talking last night. Well, it might have been this morning, 2 in the morning, whatever. We're talking about how none of us wore seatbelts back in those days. We had cars. I guess they had seatbelts to them, but especially if we were in the back seat, we never wore seatbelts. How many times is your dad go around the curve or something? You'd slide from one end of the seat to the next. You never heard of you would never hear that today in these days and times, not wearing seatbelts. And he was talking about riding in the back, the back of the truck. I remember riding in the back of the truck, and you didn't really have a whole lot of places to sit there. I remember sitting on that little hump deal in the back of the truck. Now, what if they would have hit a bump or something? We could have been easily thrown out of the back of the truck. But you know, so there you go. What do you
yeah.
what do you think about that, Armor Up?
I think it's cold in the back of the truck in the winter. I know that. It ain't no fun. You don't sit on the hump then, you snuggle up as close to that back window as possible and hope the wind don't hit you. But yeah, we didn't have seats, let alone seat belts, riding in the back of the truck.
I used to like riding in the back of the truck. Sometimes it would go hunting, put the dogs there in the back of the truck, and be sitting there. See, there you go. You're talking about during the wintertime, riding in the back of the truck. If you had dogs, you just snuggle up next to the dogs. It kept warm.
Yeah, the coonhounds were usually in their cages though, so unless you wanted to crow in the cage with them, you couldn't snuggle with them.
Right?
My dog was always a daredevil too in the back of the truck. I would be a nervous wreck worried he's going to fall out because he'd constantly want to put his paw up on the tire well and stick his head out, out outside out, peer himself out, lean himself out as far as he could reach to catch as much air as he could, and knowing dang well, the very next bump would be the one that bounces them out.
Right?
But he had it. He made it. He never fell out. I guess they have a. I guess he. I don't know. It almost seems like they have an intuition of knowing exactly what they can and can't get away with because he always figured it out somehow.
You always see dogs. Like I always had dogs, and we always had dogs in the car with us. And we had this one dog. Uh, every time we'd go somewhere, the dog always would go with us. My grandma, this is in the car, not the truck, but my grandma would always say, "Now get in the back seat." And that dog knew that it was supposed to get in the back seat. He knew exactly where he was supposed to go. And sometimes he'd get there in the back seat and be on the back of the floor, but most of the time he'd get up in that back window and like to lay up in that back window the whole trip. And you know how when you roll down a window, they like to stick their heads out the window. Oh man, I'm telling you, he used to love to stick his head out the window, and sometimes you'd be afraid that dog was gonna somehow maybe fall out the window. you know?
It's funny you say that about getting in the back seat because I had a dog that rode with me everywhere I went. I mean, every time I went anywhere, I brought my dog with me, unless I was going somewhere where the dog couldn't be for a long amount of time, like to work or something like that.
Oh
But
yeah,
yeah, I would get in the car and he'd jump in the front seat. And sometimes we'd have people coming with us, so I'd have to tell him to get in the back seat, and the person would be standing there at the door, and I'd be like, I'd be like, I'd say its name, and I'd tell it to get in the back seat. And it would look at the person, and it would look over at me, and then it would put its head down, and then it would jump in the back seat. Because you could just tell that it really didn't want to get in the back seat.
Right.
It's like, I have to get in the back seat? All right. And then as soon as that person would jump out, get out, or whatever, for any reason, it would immediately jump back to the front seat. And we'd have to go through the whole process all over again.
Oh, I'll tell you what was cool is like when we had that dog, when we get home, we'd park, in the street and stuff. So when we got home, my grandma would always say, now you go around to the passenger side, you go around there and you wait till I get there before you don't you be trying to get out till I come over there and I let you out. He never tried to get out of the driver's side, when she would get out of the car, he would always wait for her to come around and let him out, open the door for him. And he'd get out on that side exactly where she'd say to get out. I'm telling you, that dog was something else.
Yeah, dogs are pretty smart. I think they can learn up to so many. I forget the different amount, but I think it's somewhere in around 72. They have the capacity. A smart dog, some dogs are smarter than others, but a relatively smart dog can learn up to 72 words. Is what the dog trainers say as far as commands and stuff like that. That's the kind of like their capacity of what they're able to actually memorize is up to in this. I remember being around 70. Some can go up almost into the little bit over 100, but your general average is somewhere around 70, 72 commands that most dogs are capable of learning different, distinct verbal commands.
Now, cats are smart also, but most of the time they won't even give you the time of day. They'll just look at you and say, F you, buddy. I'll do whatever I want to do. So there, most cats is what I'm saying. Not all cats. Now, I do know a cat my cousin had. She actually trained that cat to drink out of the toilet, like when they were gone or whatever. They would have the lid down, but she trained the cat to where it would be able to get to it and lift the lid up if it ever ran out of water or something like that, or if they were gone for a period of time, that cat could get a drink whenever it wanted to. So, I mean, cats are smart and you can train them, but you can't always get them to listen to you. They will look at you and they will walk off like they're like, what do you want? I got things to do. I got places to be. That's the way cats are for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, I can dig cats. I don't know that I could ever have an indoor cat. I like outdoor cats, and I bring a cat in the wintertime if I've got like a field mouse that came in the house or something. I'll bring him in, or let him in the garage or something to let him not be out in the cold. But I'm not a real big fan of having cats in my house because it's not me.
I get nervous every time I'm around a cat. I used to be allergic to them when I was a younger kid, but it seems like anymore I can kind of tolerate them a little bit better. But I still don't I just don't dig cats. I'm more of a dog type of guy,
Same here. I've had a few pet cats though, outdoor pet cats that I really enjoyed having. I'd be outside. I enjoyed the cat, petting it, playing with it, talking to it, interacting with it. But I just don't like the smell of cats. I don't like the whole litter thing.
Oh
It's
man.
not. It's not for me. Yeah.
Yeah, my wife used to have a cat, and every time it'd be like, every time I have to take out the trash, it'd be like, oh God, I had to smell that freaking cat litter. And she would change it often, but it was just when it's piled up in the trash like that around trash day, you're just like, oh God, you'd want to get rid of the trash as soon as possible. And let me tell you something. You got a cat, you're going to want to make sure you get those really stretchy, hefty bags too, because let me tell you, you don't want that sucker breaking on you anytime when you're carrying it out to the garbage. No way.
Yeah,
So,
I used to deliver furniture, and I remember delivering furniture to this one lady's house. It was literally a cat lady, she had at least 20 cats in her
Oh
house,
gosh.
and as soon as you walked in the door, man, it was so like that ammonia smell or whatever that they have. That it was just overwhelming. Like I couldn't get that furniture dropped off and get out of that house fast enough. And then even the rest of the day, like it soaked into my clothes. Just being in there for that 5 to 10 minutes that I could smell it on me the rest of the day. It was terrible.
Oh man. Now I tell you that smell is just so atrocious. In fact, I was so glad when that cat. It was an indoor outdoor cat. It liked to go outside a lot, and I hate to say this, and I know this is going to sound bad and everything, but I was so glad when that cat got lost, quote, quote
you,
unquote.
you didn't shed an extra tear for it, huh?
uh, let's just we'll just say this and leave it at this. That let's just say I didn't take my extra time going out looking for it.
Yeah. Here, kitty, kitty, kitty. Oh well, guess it's not coming back.
You know, it just well, it's one of those neighborhoods where we knew that somebody was going to adopt it. I mean, it wasn't like we lived
I'm just messing with you.
out in the woods somewhere where it was going to get run over by a car or eaten by a mountain lion or something. You know.
We had a cat that would bring in other cats about once or twice a year. He'd bring in another little young male or female cat, like he wanted us to adopt it. Like he found it just out and about somewhere. He's like, "Look, this is my new friend. We need to take care of it." He'd bring him up to our front porch, and it would come stay with us. It was outside of obviously for a while, and then eventually, I guess we would feed it, and it would hang out for that 2 to 3 months of the spring or summer, and then eventually move on. But it was really weird how our cat did that. Would every so often bring in a refugee or whatever.
Refugee. Yeah. Well, we're getting down to talking about cats, so I think that's a pretty good sign that
Yeah, I mean, there's no topic off too off base for us, huh?
I guess not. Um, so what I was gonna say was we're getting down to talking about cats. I'd say that's pretty much the low point of the show, don't you?
Yeah, we're digressing when Armor finally doesn't have anything else to say.
He gave up. He's like,
Muted up, and I'm going along for the ride, man.
we're talking about cats and dogs, people.
He's like, no, he's letting us work our way through it.
Oh well. I guess we already did the final shout out like half an hour ago. So
Yeah, a while ago. A
uh,
little while ago, yeah.
you got anything
Nope, I don't.
about what?
I don't have anything.
Oh.
You're not going to get me to trick me into going down another rabbit hole.
Oh, speaking of rabbits, no. You know who I haven't seen on here in a while is Wascally Wabbit.
I see Wesley Wabbit. He's
See ya?
around. Yeah.
He's just being wascally. That's all.
Well, I was just gonna say I haven't seen him. I haven't seen
I ain't seen the pupster though forever.
Oh, you were just reading my mind just now. I haven't seen Snoopy in a while. Party puppy.
Yeah. I missed the pupster. He's probably on a break. We all need a break now and then.
Oh, sure. For sure.
Especially when this is what you got. I mean, this is your choice. This is this is what you get.
Yeah.
Definitely need breaks.
For sure. So got any last thoughts there, Sagittariusly speaking, or armor up?
No, I'm just sorry I was late for the show, my man. I'll try not to let you down next week.
Hey, no problem, man. Not a thing. It's just I'll send you an alarm next time.
Well, you actually woke me up when you called me. I at least
Oh,
look. I opened my eyes and looked at my phone, and then I rolled back over, and then I looked at the clock. I was like, "Oh shoot, it's after 10 o'clock." So I got up, started moving around, and then I finally made it here.
well, you know what they say: better late than never.
Yep.
That's right. I'm glad you're here because, man, could you imagine being stuck with Hebrew alone for like all that time?
Right.
So I'm glad you made it, brother. If nothing else. I jest. He knows I jest.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm supposed to be doing something. I'm just supposed to watch this thing.
Oh yeah, I got you. So I guess everybody else is going to bed, so we'll go ahead and close the show. And if anybody ain't got no final thoughts, hey, there's Mr. Jocko. He popped back in. Uh,
Nope. Just say goodnight to everyone tuned in and Father's love and blessings. And see you Wednesday for Wednesday Word, Thursday for Thirsty Friday, and Sunday for Shifty Sunday.
I couldn't say that any better. So, for everybody here at the Hebrew channel, we'd like to thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you next time for Armor Up. And Sagittarically speaking, this has been Hebrew saying, well, good night, everybody. You gotta hit that.
Disappeared. H is for horse, it's changed, my dear. I is for incredible, lots of changes to our edibles. F is freaky cause Mandela effects are all the buzz. And T is for time that's running fast. Y is for your memories, hope they last. If it's not a fun day, won't you join me Shifty Sunday? Shifty Sunday for Emmys. Shifty Sunday, if you please.
And hey, what a way to go out.